Welcome to Record Sports Facebook Live. My name is Daniel Caw and I'm delighted to be joined all the way from Cyprus by Record Sports Keith Jackson and Michael Gannon. Guys, how are you both?
Yes, welcome to the less than salubrious surroundings of no expenses spent digs in Larnaca, Daniel, which we'll be gladly vacating in the next hour or so to start making our way up towards the stadium for a match of obviously just huge significance, huge importance. Really look forward to it.
Before we go on, who is that you get a Christmas card for to get on these trips? Like, who is it that is in charge of putting itinerary together? Mick, I'm sure the man to talk to.
Listen, we've got brutal taskmasters who make us demand us to do these trips. I mean, it's not easy, these things. I mean, it's about 35 degrees here today. I mean, as a Scotsman, let's just say Tahitian sunset colour of hair, it's not the most safe environment for me out here. I think a few pasty-looking Tartan Army types who are struggling as well by the looks of it.
It's going to be a long day for the Tartan Army because I was out nice and early this morning, decided to make the most of a couple of spare hours, went down to the beach at Larnaca, and at that point, breakfast time, they were hitting it heavy already. There's a lot of sunburn going on, there's a lot of beer getting drunk. It's going to be a long, punishing day. I'll be interested to see what sort of nick the Tartan Army are in by the time they get to kick off at 9:45 at night, by the way. So, local time. So, yes, that will be intriguing. But you have to give them their dues. They reckon, I think the official figure is something like 3,800 Scotland fans will be in the stadium tonight, just over 8,000 capacity. I think you can wedge safely a good few hundred more than that. I think we will have half the stadium there tonight, which is incredible effort.
Aye, that's amazing. And just, I mean, on the football, Keith, we go into this game unbeaten in over a year, unbeaten in 8 games, 8 points clear at the top of Group A. I can't really remember a better time to be a Scotland fan.
No, it's frightening. It's frightening, isn't it? And, do you know, I noticed a slight change in Steve Clarke's demeanour yesterday when we were over at the stadium meeting him ahead of Scotland training. And it's a change which, you know, would underline the progress that's been made. Because for years, Scotland's managers have had to be pretty defensive when they're talking about their players, protective almost. But Steve Clarke is now being openly challenging to the guys. He's saying, you know, he was asked the question, have they got the mentality to close this out from here? He says, well, now we'll see. Now we're going to see. And it was just like, he's just constantly just challenging and poking, and in a way that we wouldn't have done so previously. We were desperately trying to protect them and from the blast of whatever disastrous campaign was unfolding around about our ears. This is different. It feels different. And I hope I'm not putting a curse on anything, but I've got a really good feeling that we'll get the result we need tonight. And I think that'll be just about us there, home and host.
No. I mean, Mick, I agree with Keith. I think we will get the result tonight, but there's that little nagging doubt at the back of my head. Having beaten Spain, having won in Norway, it's always the wee teams like this, with no disrespect to Cyprus, that tend to trip Scotland up.
Yeah, listen, we're still Scottish. We have that deep fear of embarrassment and lurking beneath the surface sometimes. But it's true that there is something that's changed in this group. I mean, we're talking to Andy Robertson yesterday, and words like complacency, expectation, I mean, all these words that we never use with Scotland. We can become complacent. We'd love to be complacent with Scotland over the years. But there's no danger of that actually happening, because I've got this position that they don't want to waste it. They get that real sense that they've got to this point, 4 wins out of 4, and they don't want to undo all that hard work. So they're here really meaning business. So I've got this weird sensation, which is kind of confidence, and I'm a bit relaxed about the game, which in terms of covering Scotland over the years, we don't often feel that way, but I do feel quite relaxed about this game. And I say, I hope we don't get bit in the bum by it. But I don't think so. We've got a team. I think
the key bit is, Michael, when you look at the group now, I think the result in Oslo last time out, I think that killed Norway. I just can't see any way back. So it's really difficult to think of a set of circumstances which could unfold between now and the end of the campaign where we don't have at least second. But you're right, this is Scotland. We have to be mindful of that. We have to be mindful that it's absolutely sweltering here tonight. It's going to be physically a really demanding shift for the players. But I just don't fear it. And they're proper athletes. You know, it's not like 30 years ago when, you know, guys would be fainting at half time. They're physically honed. They're in brilliant shape. I don't think that the weather, the temperature is going to be too much of an issue, even though it will be around 30 degrees at kick-off time. And I just think they exude confidence. And I think the key of what I was trying to say there is win this one. And I just don't see how you need to throw a double six not to finish first or second. And I don't think we'll let this opportunity slip. I think the guys have arrived here realising that this is the moment. They need to seize it.
Mm-hmm. And Mickey, sorry, go ahead, Mick.
The good thing, the heat is a factor, right, and it's going to be difficult. But the good thing with this Scotland team is that it's not an old-fashioned Scotland team who spend the whole game chasing. They can look after the football and they can keep possession. Correct. I would expect them to have most possession tonight, which means that the most of the runs are going to be done by the Cyprus side, who run at a steam at Hampden, if you remember. I mean, the last 10 minutes they were blown. So I don't have any fears in terms of fitness and actually the conditions. I think Scotland will manage them quite well. So another thing it's got me feeling kind of confident about as well.
Michael, you're absolutely right. And I think if you look at the midfield area, which as ever will be, I think, the crucial area in the park, we're going to have guys like Callum McGregor. I expect Billy Gilmore to start. These two could keep the ball in a phone box and keep possession, just keep it ticking over. We've got real technicians in the middle of the pitch. And that, for me, is probably the biggest difference and the reason why we qualified for one campaign, for one Euros. We're on the cusp of doing it again. We're progressing all the time. It's not through accident. It's because we've got some really, really talented football players. And the most talented squad of players that I can remember covering perhaps at any time in my journalistic career. You know, with a great squad that went to the World Cup in '98. I think this lot's more talented. I think this is a better group of players. And I guess that's why we're sitting here thinking, you know, I sound like Charlie Nicholas there. That's why we're going to this game tonight positive and believing that this won't be another Scotland accident or hard luck story. These guys, I think they've earned our trust. They've earned our faith.
Mick, in terms of the team itself, I mean, Keith mentioned Billy Gilmore there. I feel like this is really a game that Billy Gilmore will dominate in. Brilliant form for Brighton. Hopefully he'll start. But do you see any other surprises in the starting lineup, or will it be a similar team to what we've seen in the other qualification games?
No, I don't think there'll be any surprises. I mean, I know there's kind of concerns about the lack of club football for some of the players, guys like McTominay and all that stuff. But this is the guy who's done the business for Scotland, and particularly in the last kind of year or so, he's really risen to the challenge. So I'm not worried about that either. I think Billy Gilmore, you've got to think he's going to be getting involved.
Well, who drops out then, Mick? If it's not,
this is the thing, and I'm not particularly worried about who drops out either. But McTominay scored 5 goals in the last 4 games.
It would be a massive call to leave him out.
Yeah,
but it's also a massive call to leave Billy Gilmore out the way he's playing just now.
I think because we touched on it, I think Billy Gilmore would be the key tonight to keep the ball. I think you're right with that one. I think that's why you would want him in there, because he's a good in possession. So it's a nice problem to have, isn't it? It's a nice kind of thing to think about. Because I even think tonight give a night for guys like your Stuart Armstrongs and that kind of stuff, and Ryan Christie's they're good in the ball as well. So I think everyone needs to play a part at some point. It's going to be a night where you need to use all 5 subs and as well. So it doesn't really matter as much because everyone's going to put a shift in at some point.
I wonder if I'll throw a curveball in here, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I wonder if it's something we could debate, Mick, or what you think about it. Is it possible that Scott McTominay reverts into the right-hand side of the 3 at the back? And I'm thinking about entirely what you said there. We're going to have to keep possession. We're going to have to be able to play it out from the back into the midfield. McTominay can do that job with his eyes shut. And I don't think that defensively, and I'm not speaking too soon, that we're going to be under too much pressure. I just wonder if McTominay into the back 3 might create the space that gets Billy Gilmore into the team. It wouldn't surprise me with Steve Clark, even though I don't think many people would expect that. It wouldn't surprise me.
I wouldn't mind that either, but the only thing I would like to see McTominay in there purely because you're probably going to have Alec Gogic in there for Cyprus, who, if it's Billy Gilmore, he'll be on him like a rash and just basically kicking lumps at him for 90 minutes. I wouldn't mind a bit of muscle in there. I wouldn't mind McTominay's kind of strength in there competing because Cyprus will not be any wallflowers in that middle part with Gogic in there. So that's my only thing. I'd like a bit of muscle in there. But then again, you could have McTominay. He could be the minder for Billy. I don't know. Well, Billy's a tough little kid, isn't he?
Well, this is the thing, that if he was to play in that position, he can step out into the midfield, Mick, and give you an extra number in there. So it wouldn't surprise me. I'm not. It's not inside information. It's nothing I know. It was just something I was thinking about earlier, and given that Stevie Clarke has done these things previously, and people, have been caught by surprise a little bit. I could see the merit in it. And I also think it helps you get your best players into the starting 11. And I think that is something that Steve Clarke has been very careful and deliberate in doing over the last few years. He finds a way to get the best players into the starting team.
I think I'm right in saying as well, guys, that Scott McTominay's still the top scorer in qualifying. I mean, I know he's only played 6 minutes for Man United so far this season, in the league anyway, but he has to start, Mick. He has to play, surely.
I think so. As I say, 5 goals in 4 games. He's been a big player for Scotland, so I can't really see him dropping out. So I think Keith's idea of him slotting the back might be the way to get him in the team. Mm-hmm. And I say you want these guys on the pitch, and it brings a bit of physicality as well, because Cyprus will be looking for dead ball situations and all that stuff, and you want your big guys in the team as well. You've also got Scott McKenna back fit again, haven't you, as well, at the back? So there's a few options there as well for Steve.
That's part of the joy of it, isn't it? That, it wasn't that long ago that Gordon Strachan was putting a great Scotland run together, and he went a calendar year without a defeat, I'm sure. And it was, you felt we're going places. This side is going places. But see, when you actually look at the team and analyse it, Gordon Strachan was left to pick players from, if you were getting a game in the English Championship, then, and you had a Scottish granny, you were in, get in. That was the level of player that we were, happy to have at that moment in time. This is completely different. Steve Clarke has got a squad full of English Premier League players, and when we're discussing who comes in, who steps out, as Michael said, you don't really get concerned about it, because there's not going to be the drop off in quality, the drastic drop off in quality, no matter who you put in. Mm-hmm. John McGinn's obviously, there are certain guys that there's no argument, they just have to play. John McGinn comes into that category, your Andy Robertsons, etc., Callum McGregor's. But then after that, you've got 7 or 8 places up for grabs, and there's not that much of a drop off in quality wherever you look. Whether it's at right back, you've got Hickey or Patterson. At left back, we've got no shortage of options, even if Andy Robertson did get injured. It's just in a really remarkably healthy state, the squad, and can't get enough of it right now.
No, absolutely.
Speaking of Scottish guys, Keith, do you think, what's your gut feeling on Elliot Anderson? Do we think we're going to see him in a dark blue shirt, or do you think there's a chance he's going to be Morris dancing down the road again?
Well, I did ask Steve Clarke about it yesterday, because I felt he was a little bit unconvincing in the way that he was answering the questions. I think he could have nailed it. I think he could have said, look guys, the boy has picked up an injury, we've had him checked out, he's devastated, he was so looking forward to coming and being part of this. There was none of that. In fact, it was to the contrary. Steve Clarke was saying, I don't know what the problem is, I'm not sure if he'll be back. And at one point I said to him, Steve, is there a danger here that this kid has been nobbled by England? 2 days before he was meant to step in the plane. His answer, I don't know. We'll see. So that to me was less than definitive, Michael, and it does suggest to me that there may be games afoot.
Would Steve Clarke have asked him? Would he not just come out and say, look, have England been on to you? Or is that,
Yeah, but would he get a straight answer if you had?
That's a fair point.
We've been here before with certain players. I mean, I think even going back to like McTominay as well. A lot of these guys sometimes like to hedge their bets as long as they can. Understandably so. I mean, he's born down south and all that stuff, so you can understand. He might be getting from the whisper in his ear. I don't know. Listen, he might be injured and he just can't make it. Maybe just.
I know. Mike,
never cynical people.
At that point, Steve, it was the easiest answer in the world for Steve Clarke.
Exactly.
And he didn't. He left it very open-ended. I thought. I left it basically open to speculation, which is what we do best.
But you also get a feeling with Steve Clarke is that if you're not going to be committed to it, he's not interested in you.
He's not interested.
No.
And by the way, it doesn't need to be, because as we've just been discussing, this isn't 10, 15 years ago when we were desperate for the next one to come through, desperate for a sign or, something better, jam tomorrow. We're not in that situation. We are more than adequately covered for midfield players, really talented midfield players. So if the guy doesn't fancy it, then off you pop, mate.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Elsewhere in the team, guys, who do you see, or how do you see the front line shaping up? Lyndon Dykes is in the squad, obviously.
Dykes is in the squad, but hasn't had a lot of football. I expect Shea Adams will lead the line. And again, if we're looking about how do you manipulate the team, jiggle it about a little bit to fit in a Billy Gilmore, it wouldn't surprise me at all if John McGinn went and played up off Shea Adams as a sort of a second striker, which he's done more than adequately for us previously. That position could go to Ryan Christie. I don't think Dykes and Adams will be the front line for tonight. I think it will be Adams with a Christie, perhaps John McGinn, because that might again open up a space to deploy Billy Gilmore into the centre of midfield. The team doesn't exactly pick itself, but it's not far off.
Mm-hmm. That's true, Mick, isn't it? The team is pretty strong.
That's the only one area if we're going to get a bit kind of greedy. We'd like to have some slightly more strike options. Dykes has not played the last 3 games. I think his knee injury as well. Not played an awful lot this year.
By the way, he has never let Scotland down.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. These 2 guys actually have never let us down. They've done the business for us, and the selfless play has allowed others like McGinn, like McTominay, to get into the box and score goals. Correct. So I'm not particularly concerned that area either. Listen, it'd be nice to have a kind of rising star coming through up front like the Irish boys have. I mean, I'm going to try to pinch him as well, aren't they? I'm trying to grab him as well. So we've
got Ben Doak. He's the future. Don't worry about it.
Well, he's the one coming up. Yeah, he's the one coming up. Listen, be careful. They might try and nick him as well somewhere. They might try and find English guy. We need to guard him. But yeah, that's only. If I was being a bit kind of good here, like a kind of a Champions League level striker, but you can't have everything, I suppose.
It's true. Guys, I'm going to put you in the spot. Predictions for tonight. Keith, I'll start with yourself.
Well, I'll touch the wooden table in front of me and go 2-0 Scotland. I am, and this is the only thing that's worrying me is that I'm not worried. So that's just a Scottish mentality. But yeah, 2-0 Scotland.
I think a lot of Scots feel your pain. That's how I feel. I'm worried by the fact that I think Scotland will win.
But you're not worried, yeah.
Exactly. But Cyprus might go into this bottom of the table, lost all 3 games. Scotland go into it having conceded just 1 goal, scored 9.
Yeah, Cyprus have lost. They've lost like 6 in the bounce. Never beaten us, thankfully. Although games against us have been a bit kind of something we get nervy. Look back to the famous one, 89 was it? The 3-2 last minute, Richard Goff. So,
last minute, it was about the 102nd minute. Mick came off a sprinkler head. I'll take that tonight, by the way.
Well, I think it might be a wee bit nervy at times. I think Cyprus will be awkward. I don't think it'll be. Even the game at Hampden, it wasn't a stroll in the park either. So I think we might have to kind of dig it out a wee bit. So, but I still think they'll get a result. I think it'll be 1-0 or 2-1. I think they will dig it out, but they'll have to dig it out because they're not going to roll over this team.
Mm-hmm. For what it's worth, I think 3-0 Scotland. There you go.
Take that.
John McGinn anytime. Guys, I think that more or less brings us to the end of today's Record Sport Facebook Live. Keith, Michael, enjoy your time in Larnaca, and I hope the game goes okay for you.
Fingers crossed, Daniel.
And I should say, for anyone watching, feel free to leave comments in the comment section below. You can also find us at DR_sport on Twitter, at dailyrecord_sport on Instagram as well.
And thanks for
That's it. Thanks very much, guys, and thanks for watching.